It's the monthly EMS review meeting at BlueRiver. The same dashboard is on the screen. Water use is higher than expected, COD variability has increased, line 3 is above the site average, some cleaning in place cycles are taking longer than expected. Now, imagine two different mornings. On the first morning, the management team is in a bad mood. Every red number looks like a crisis. Someone says, open a nonconformity, start corrective action. This is unacceptable. On the second morning, the management team is in a good mood. The same red numbers appear. But this time someone says, oh, it's probably just normal variation. Let's wait. Things go up and down, you know. So, same data, different mood, different decisions. That is dangerous. So, the question for this mini episode is simple. How do we stop mood from interpreting the data? So, environmental management produces a lot of data. Water use, wastewater quality, pH, COD, flow, energy consumption, incidents, complaints, audit findings, emergency drills. Then we put that data into dashboards. And when the dashboard turns red, the temptation is immediate. Something is wrong. Open a nonconformity. Start corrective action. But before we jump, we need a better question. Are we seeing a real signal or are we only reacting to noise? This is where trend analysis and statistical process control become so important. Now, episode 12 was about monitoring, measurement, analysis, and compliance evaluation. BlueRiver learned how to collect data and how to connect that data with decisions. Episode 13 is about nonconformity, correction, and corrective action. But between those two episodes, we need an important bridge. Before BlueRiver decides what to correct, investigate, or improve, it must understand what the data is really saying. A common mistake is to worship the last number. So this month is better than last month, so we celebrate. This month is worse than last month, so we panic. The dashboard shows green, so we relax. The dashboard shows red, so we blame. You know, a monthly carousel of emotions. But the last number is not the whole story. A better question is, what is the pattern? Is the process stable? Is this result predictable? Has something really changed? Environmental management, one number can be useful, but the pattern is much more powerful. Now, let's pause for some seconds, okay? So, BlueRiver sees this result. Last month, water use was 1.82 liters of water per liter filled. This month, it is 1.94. What should BlueRiver do? Open a nonconformity immediately? Blame production? Compare the result with the process pattern? Change the target? What's the best answer? The best first answer is compare with the process pattern. One number may be a signal, but it may also be routine variation. Before acting, BlueRiver needs context. Okay? So, SPC or statistical process control begins with a simple but powerful idea. Every process varies. Okay? Water consumption varies. COD varies. pH varies. Flow varies. Cleaning in place cycles vary. Audit findings vary. Emergency drill results vary, but not all variation means the same thing, okay? So some variation is common cause variation. That is the normal variation produced by the system as it currently operates. Some variation is special cause variation. So something unusual happened. A valve failed, a product changed, a meter drift, a cleaning chemical changed, a contractor damaged a pipe, a pre-treatment pump failed. So the management question is, which world are we in? Common cause variation or special cause variation? Duran and Deming, okay, they use the term tampering for a very common management mistake. Tampering happens when we interfere with a stable process because we misread normal variation as a special problem. So the process moves a little, we react. It moves again, we react again. And soon we have more adjustments, more confusion, more meetings, more blame, and often worse performance. The manager, well, he feels active, but the system becomes less stable. In environmental management, tampering can happen when BlueRiver changes operating criteria, targets, recipes, responsibilities, or corrective actions every time one result looks bad. Deming demonstrated tampering with the famous funnel experiment. So imagine a funnel suspended above a target. Okay, you see number 1. A marble drops through the funnel. Each time, the marble lands in a slightly different place. There is variation. Now, a bad rule is this. After each drop, move the funnel to compensate. That's number 2. So, in number 2, after every drop, move the funnel to compensate for where the last marble landed. If the marble lands left, move the funnel right. If it lands short, move the funnel forward. Now, this feels logical, but it makes the system worse. Why? Because the adjustment is based on noise, not on knowledge. And the same thing can happen at BlueRiver. Now, translate the funnel experiment into BlueRiver. One high water result appears. Well, BlueRiver immediately changes the cleaning in place recipe. Next week, the result changed again, so BlueRiver changes rinse limits. Then someone blames the operator. The alarm levels are adjusted. Then the target is changed. Then a corrective action is opened, even though no one has understood the process pattern. This is BlueRiver moving the funnel. It may look like management, but it is not discipline management. So the question is, are we improving the system or just moving the funnel and increasing variation? Donald Wheeler's work on process behavior charts, what I normally call control charts, is useful because it keeps the focus practical. So a dashboard shows a result. A process behavior chart shows the result in context. So it helps BlueRiver ask better questions. Okay? Is the process predictable? Is the result routine? Is there a signal? Has the process changed? This is why control limits are not decorative lines. They help separate routine variation from exceptional variation. And without that distinction, the EMS can become either hysterical or blind. It reacts when it should not, or it ignores what it should investigate. Now, a dashboard shows a result. It tells us that the latest value is 2.46 above the specification limit of 220. Okay, so the dashboard creates a reaction. Something is wrong. But the process behavior chart tells a different story. It shows that this result is not unusual for this process. The point is inside the process limits. There is no signal, no run, no shift, no exceptional moving range. In other words, the process is behaving as it normally behaves. And that is the important lesson. The problem is not necessarily today's result. The problem may be the relationship between the specification and the capability of the process. Sometimes specifications are handed down like thunderbolts from Mount Olympus, yeah. Someone defines a target or a limit independently of what the process can actually deliver. The dashboard then blames the result. The process behavior chart reveals the system. So if the process is stable, but routinely capable of crossing the specification limit, then we do not have a one-day problem. We have a capability problem, or perhaps a specification problem, or both. This is why process behavior charts, control charts, are so powerful. They do not just show whether today was good or bad. They show what the process is currently designed to produce. And once we see that, the management question changes. Not who failed today, who is the responsible, but is this process capable of meeting this specification predictably? Now, one of the most important lessons is this: control limits are not targets, and they are not permit limits. They are different voices, okay? Control limits are the voice of the process. They tell BlueRiver what the process is doing. Targets are the voice of management. They tell BlueRiver what it wants to achieve. And permit limits are the voice of compliance. They tell BlueRiver what must not be exceeded. So a process can be stable and still unacceptable. For example, water use may be stable but too high to meet the objective. A process can also be unstable but still temporarily within permit limits. For example, wastewater pH may be inside the legal limit but showing a dangerous shift. So BlueRiver should not confuse stability with acceptability. Okay, two different things. And don't confuse control limits with targets. Okay, some organizations include specification limits and put those specification limits over the control charts. No, that's not okay. Now, many environmental indicators arrive one value at a time. So one daily water efficiency result, one water value per cleaning in place cycle, one COD result, one daily wastewater flow result, one leak repair time, one drill response time. So for this type of data, an individual's and moving range chart can be very useful. The individual values chart shows the actual results over time. The moving range chart shows the variation between consecutive results. Together, they help BlueRiver understand process behavior. And this is especially useful when there is no rational subgroup. In other words, when it does not make sense to average several values together as if they came from the same small control condition. Okay? Now, let's see an example. Daily water use per liter filled is higher today than yesterday. The dashboard shows red because it's worse than yesterday. But the X moving range chart shows that the value is still inside the natural process limits. So there is no run, no shift, no unusual moving range, no known change in product, recipe, or equipment. So in that situation, the best decision may be do not tamper, continue monitoring. BlueRiver can still ask whether anything changed, but it should not change the process. blame people, or open corrective action only because one point moved. Okay? Now let's see a second example and a different situation. So water per liter filled has increased for 3 months. Line 3 is consistently above the site average. Maintenance records show repeated valve repairs. The water objective is at risk. So this is no longer a single bad point, it's a pattern. So BlueRiver should investigate. Possible causes may include valve failure, cleaning in place recipe settings, operator practice, product mix, meter reliability, or a weak maintenance plan. And this is the difference between reacting to one number and learning from a pattern. The pattern gives BlueRiver a reason to investigate. A third example is COD variability after cleaning operations. So suppose COD results are still within permit limits, but variability has increased after cleaning. More near limit events appear. So the wrong reaction is, oh, we are still compliant, so nothing matters. That's dangerous, okay? The better question is, has the process changed before compliance is lost? These may lead BlueRiver to review cleaning sequences, chemical dosing, production scheduling, pre-treatment capacity, operator competence, or monitoring frequency. So SPC, or statistical process control, helps BlueRiver respond before a compliance problem becomes visible as a breach. Okay? SPC thinking is not only for water meters and laboratory results, it can also help with operational evidence. So for example, in a spill drill, BlueRiver measures the time needed to find all drain covers. And the result is 12 minutes. Well, the target is 5 minutes. Now the question is this a one-off problem or evidence that emergency control is weak? BlueRiver should check previous drill results, the location of equipment, signage, training, shift differences, and contractor involvement. If this is a pattern, it may require corrective action. If it is isolated but significant, it may still require correction and learning. The important point is that evidence should be interpreted before action is chosen. Should BlueRiver always use individual values? No. Individual values are useful when data comes one point at a time, and subgrouping does not make operational sense. So for example, each cleaning in place cycle may be treated as an individual value. Each daily water efficiency result may be treated as an individual value. Each drill response time may be treated as an individual value. Averages can be useful when there are rational subgroups. For example, the average of 5 similar cleaning in place cycles in one shift, or the average pH from repeated samples taken under the same operating condition. The key word here is rational. Do not average data simply to make the chart look smoother. Average when the subgroup has operational meaning. Now, what counts as a signal? There are different sets of rules, and organizations can define the ones they use. For a practical EMS, keep it simple. Now, for statistical process control charts or process behavior charts, investigate when you see a point outside the process limits, a clear run on one side of the average, a sustained upward or downward trend, a sudden shift after a known change, an unusually large moving range, or a pattern that should not happen by routine variation. So when a signal appears, BlueRiver should not jump directly to blame. It should ask, what changed in the system? Now, dashboard, chart, investigation, action. different tools, different jobs. Okay, so and this distinction is central. A dashboard tells BlueRiver what is happening. A process behavior chart helps BlueRiver understand whether the process is stable. An investigation helps BlueRiver understand why something happened. Correction fixes the immediate problem. Corrective action prevents recurrence. A management system change may change controls, resources, competence, monitoring frequency, objectives, or responsibilities. These are different things. So if BlueRiver treats a dashboard as if it were an investigation, it will make poor decisions. If it treats every bad number as corrective action, it will create fatigue. If it ignores signals because limits have not yet been breached, it will lose control slowly. So this episode is really about avoiding two opposite mistakes. Okay? The first mistake is overreaction, treating noise as signal. That creates tampering. I call it the schizophrenic, okay? The schizophrenic mode. The second mistake is rationalization, treating signal as noise. That creates drift, delay, and weak control. Now, the way out is disciplined thinking. Use the pattern before deciding. Do not act because the number is red. Do not ignore the number because you are tired, busy, or optimistic. Look at the process behavior and then decide. And so this episode prepares us for episode 13. So before BlueRiver decides on correction or corrective action, it should ask, is this a signal? Is the process stable? Is the process acceptable? Is the issue isolated or systemic? What changed? What response is proportionate? Then BlueRiver can decide a corrective action or a correction, improvement or a management system change. And this is the bridge between monitoring and improvement. So the output of this mini episode is not a new form, it is a new discipline. So BlueRiver now knows that the last number is not the whole story. It knows how to distinguish signal from noise. It understands tampering. It understands why Deming's funnel experiment matters. It knows that individual and moving range charts are useful for individual values. It knows that averages should only be used when subgroups make operational sense. It knows that control limits, targets, and permit limits are different. And it knows that action should be proportionate to the signal. So do not react to every number. Do not ignore real signals. Learn from the pattern. That is the discipline BlueRiver needs before moving into nonconformity, correction, and corrective action. An environmental management system does not learn by collecting more and more data. It learns when people are able to interpret evidence properly. It learns when they know when to wait, when to investigate, when to correct, when to take corrective action, and when to change the system. And this is the real purpose of this episode, not more data, better decisions. So the practical question remains, are we seeing a signal or are we only moving the funnel? Now, if your organization needs support with the transition to ISO 14001-2026, or if you are looking to improve your current environmental management system, perhaps I can help. I also support organizations that are starting from the beginning and want to implement ISO 14001 in a practical, business-oriented way. So you can contact me using the email shown on the screen or send me a direct message on LinkedIn.